What's going on, guys? It's your boy Despian, and welcome back to the very second episode of Season 2 of the Yugituber ruling quiz. Now, this time around, I decided to bring on a new face, someone you've never seen before on my channel. Today's guest is none other than Paul from TeamAPS. Paul, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. I'm a little nervous about this, honestly, but I mean, hey, here I am.
You don't have to be nervous at all, brother. Everyone is nervous their first time, but it's okay. Everything's gonna go great. So, for this ruling quiz chat, I have decided to quiz Paul on a deck that he's been playing for quite a little bit of time now. Paul, since the release of the Despia cards, has really liked them and has been playing them since even before the branded stuff came out. How confident do you feel that you know the rulings for branded Despia, which is a deck that you've been playing for quite some time now?
So honestly, like, I feel pretty good about it. I mean, I play the deck. I play it at locals. I play it like online a lot too. So I feel like I should know the stuff. I mean, I think the thing that would be like the worst possible scenario is like if the chain links go to like 12, but you know.
You really think I would do that to you? Come on now. I'm not gonna go to chain link 12 here. For the rules of this quiz, for those of you that are new, and for Paul, who is also new to the quiz, I'm going to be asking you 8 ruling questions, all pertaining to the deck in question, being branded Despia. All of the questions here, you can ask me like certain things about like clarification or something like that, but you can't ask me for anything in terms of like, you know, ruling knowledge help, unless you use one of your 2 lifelines. The first lifeline that you have access to is Ask the Head Judge, which is me. So at some point, if there's something that you'd like clarification on in terms of like PSCT or something like that, you're like, oh, Coder, can you remind me how the then conjunction works? You can use that lifeline to ask me about a question that a judge would be able to answer you in the middle of a duel. The other lifeline you have access to is the lifeline question based on the card question. You can poll the Twitch chat on whatever, you know, question you're not too sure about. You can ask the Twitch chat what they think. Other than that, that's pretty much all the rules. That's all you need to know. Are you ready to get into the quiz, Paul?
I am ready. Let's do it.
All right, chat, we are going to go in. Paul, it is time for question number 1. Here, you control a Despian Proskenion. You have polymerization in your hand and ad libitum of Despia. In this situation, you're going to be activating the polymerization, fusing the Proskenion with the ad libitum. Here, you're fusion summoning for a Despian Quiritis using both of these monsters. You activate the effect of ad libitum of Despia, targeting your Proskenion. Your opponent then chains DD Crow from their hand, targeting the same Proskenion. In this situation, how does the chain resolve?
I think I got my answer.
Okay, I got you. I'm
DD
listening.
Crow.
You can run me through your thought process. You don't have to lock anything in immediately.
So my understanding of this is like DD Crow is going to be, it's going to resolve first. And it will banish Proskenion. Ad libitum is going to try to summon it, but it won't work because the target is like changed locations. And so my understanding of that is that ad libitum's effect just does not summon anything.
Okay, is that your final answer?
Yes, that's my final answer.
All right, Paul. Well, for the very first question, you are correct. In this situation, the DD Crow will banish the Proskenion, and then when the ad libitum of Despia would resolve, the target is no longer in the same location, so the target isn't treated as being the same card. A lot of people make this mistake because the ad libitum is able to target a banished monster. The thing that a lot of players will, you know, make the mistake on is because it can target a banished monster, it would still resolve summoning the Proskenion, but in the situation, because it's no longer treated as the same card, it loses its target in the situation and doesn't successfily summon. So you are correct here.
That's
DD Crow will
interesting.
banish it. Oh, yeah, no, go ahead.
I had a very similar situation at locals with like Called by the Grave doing basically the same scenarios. So I remember that had come up and I was like, yeah, I think that's how that ended up working. So
you are currently 1-for-1. Are you ready to get into question number 2?
All right, question number 2.
Question number 2. In this situation, your opponent controls an Unchained Soul of Rage. I love this card. I had to use it. You control a Despian Quiritis. In this situation, your opponent is going to activate the effect of their Unchained Soul of Rage, targeting your Despian Quiritis. Now, what Unchained Soul of Rage does is it says during your opponent's main phase, you can target a face-up special summon monster your opponent controls. Immediately after this effect resolves, link summon one Dark Link monster except itself by using only that opponent's monster and this card as material. So in this situation, the Unchained Soul of Rage is attempting to link with your Despian Quiritis. The question here is, after they use your Despian Quiritis to link summon using the effect of their Unchained Soul of Rage, is Quiritis able to activate if it is used as link material via the effect of Unchained Soul of Rage?
I think this one's pretty straightforward. My answer is that no, Despian Quiritis cannot activate its effect because it wasn't sent to the graveyard by a card effect, it was just used as material for a link summon. So even though Unchained Soul of Rage's effect is like letting you link summon, it isn't its effect that's like, I'm bad at explaining these things, but it isn't. It's
no, I like your explanation. I like the explanation.
Um,
I understand where you're going with this, and I like it.
Yeah, it isn't its effect that's like sending Despian Quiritis away. It's just the effect is allowing you to link summon, and then the link summon is just using Despian Quiritis as material.
All right, your final answer is that Quiritis is not able to activate. And Paul, you would be correct. The Quiritis is not able to activate its effect here. To put it in simpler terms, the effect of Unchained Soul of Rage does affect the opponent's monster in order to be allowed to use it as link material, but the act of actually link summoning using the opponent's monster as material is actually just a simple game mechanic. So all the effect of Rage actually does is allow you to use the opponent's monster as material, but the act of using it is not one that is a part of Rage's effect, therefore doesn't trigger the Despian Quiritis, so it's not able to summon from the deck. Very good, you're 2 for 2, bro. You were nervous, and now you're out here killing it, bro. You're killing it. Are you ready to get into question number 3?
I'm ready, let's do it.
All right, let's get into question number 3. So in this situation, you control a Despian Tragedy, your opponent controls a Bean Soldier, and a face-up Macrocosmos. In this instance, your opponent moves to the battle phase and declares an attack on your Despian Tragedy with their Bean Soldier. At this point, your Despian Tragedy gets destroyed by battle and is banished. At this point, can you activate the effect of Despian Tragedy?
This one I think is pretty straightforward if I'm like understanding it all right. Even though Macrocosmos is on the field and it's like, you know, causing everything to be banished, Despian Tragedy would not activate in this situation because it got destroyed by battle. It was not sent to the graveyard or banished by a card effect. It was banished, but after being destroyed by battle.
Is that your final answer?
Yes, my final answer is it does not let me use Despian Tragedy.
Paul, for the first time, you are incorrect here. The Despian Tragedy is allowed to activate here. The reason why is because, yes, it was removed from the field as a result of being destroyed by battle. However, it was still considered to be banished via the effect of Macrocosmos. So the battle is the reason why the card left the field, but the reason why the card ended up banished was the effect of Macrocosmos. So for that reason, it is still enough for the Despian Tragedy to be able to trigger its effect to add the Aluber from your deck to the hand here. So unfortunately, you are 2 for 3. The first mistake, it's not too bad. Not too bad. You're still doing fine. But
That's actually really cool information. I was like, I feel like I'm learning something. Like I really like learned that I didn't know that worked that way.
2 for 3, still doing fine. You're still doing great. Are you ready to get into question number 4 here?
All right, let's do it.
All right, let's get into
I
question.
Can make a comeback here.
Yes, you can. Let's get into question number 4. Here, you control a Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon. Your opponent controls a face-up Skill Drain. You also have Polymerization in your hand and a Fallen of Albaz. The reason why this question is relevant is because Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon reads that you can only control one Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon. Are you allowed to activate the poly here to attempt to fusion summon for another copy using the one you have on the field and the Fallen of Albaz while under Skill Drain?
Ooh.
I love that reaction. You're just like, yeah, I love this.
I do. I like, believe it or not, like this is, I like these nitty gritty questions because I have an understanding of this in my head that I believe is correct.
Okay.
And I don't want to use my lifeline because like I feel that I'm right on this. My understanding, my answer to this is that you cannot use polymerization and attempt to make another Mirror Jade because Mirror Jade's thing that's I don't know, call it an effect, but it's effect text that's like reading you can only control one Mirror Jade is not something that like Skill Drain negates. Like it's not like, you know, my words suck, but like, you know, it like cannot be. Skill Drain doesn't really affect that part of it.
You're essentially saying that it's text on the card, but it's not necessarily part of the effect?
Yeah. That's my answer, is that you cannot attempt to make another one.
All right, so your final answer is you cannot attempt to make another. And Paul, you would be correct, but for not necessarily the right reason. So I'll clarify here. The effect of Mirror Jade that says you can only control one Mirror Jade is an effect, and that effect is negated by skill drain. So for example, say I have a Mirror Jade on my field, you have a Mirror Jade on your field, and skill drain is up. I would be allowed to change of heart your Mirror Jade and control both, because they would be negated at that point. However, the Mirror Jade that isn't negated is the one that's in your extra deck. So the Mirror Jade that is in your extra deck does not have that part of its text negated, so because the one in your extra deck has that restriction, you're not allowed to attempt to summon another one, specifically because the one in your extra deck has that restriction still applying.
I heard about this recently. Okay, so yeah. So I was right, but my reasoning was wrong. But see,
correct, yeah.
I heard about that same, like, this came up. Like, it might have been a couple weeks ago at Locals or something, like, just the same thing where it was like, yeah, it's because, like, the extra deck copy would be, like, preventing you from making itself.
Yeah, so like with the example that you gave with the kaijus, it works kind of the same way. So you can't attempt to summon another kaiju on the opponent's field while they control one, even under skill drain, but because the kaiju in your hand still has that effect.
Okay, so I have a suggestion for you.
Yeah?
You need to just make like a pocket coder app. Like just a little app. And people can just download it and like just like boom, like a little AI coder just tells you the ruling and like explains. Because like the thing is like I like knew this, but like also like you put it far more eloquently and like clarified like kind of what it is that's going on.
I mean, I've been doing this for a while. I try my best, like whenever I record ruling videos or anything like that, that I always try to explain things in the most easy to comprehend way. All right, are you ready to get to question number 5, Paul?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's run it with question number 5. Here, your opponent controls a Mirror Jade, and you control 4 cards. You control a Stardust Dragon, you control a My Body as a Shield, face down. You also control a face down Solemn Strike, and you also control a face-up Infernoid Ununku. In this situation, we will assume that you, like, Raigeki your opponent's board or something like that, you destroy their Mirror Jade and you remove it from the field. At this point, they activate the effect of their Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon. Which of your cards, if any, are you allowed to activate in response to this Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon?
Okay. Man,
this is one of those scenario questions.
Yeah, this spiked. Okay. All right. Like, Strike, I'm like almost positive. Like, I'm pretty sure like that's in the clear.
Okay.
I know Ununku doesn't work because that's like spell and trap only. So
fair.
It's really Stardust Dragon in My Body as a Shield. I know there's like something just very, I feel like there's something like nitty gritty here that I'm like missing.
No, I wouldn't throw you a curveball. Come on.
I really want to save my like judge call. Should I gamble on this?
Ooh, Gamba. Chat likes to gamble, so if you want to go for a gamble, chat will be all for it, I believe.
I feel like because it's like a multi-hit, like this could be multiple cards. Like asking chat seems risky, and I'm trying to think of like if I was to ask you, how would I even like?
What would you be asking me?
I'm trying to sort of figure out like with My Body as a Shield and Stardust, are these like it has to be an effect that is like going to destroy cards, like. Definitely. Like, and that's what I'm not, like, God, this drives me.
I see where you're going with this, though. I like the direction you're taking this and asking yourself the right questions. I like it.
Well, I'm just gonna gamble on what I think the answer is.
Okay.
Okay. I think it's only Solemn Strike. With Stardust in My Body, like, my rationale is just that they, it's something along the lines of, like, it's not a guarantee that like the monster is going to destroy monsters or the effect is going to destroy monsters in the field at the time that it's like activating. I'm going with Solemn Strike, just Solemn Strike. That's my answer.
Your final answer is that the only card that can be activated of the 4 you have on the field here is Solemn Strike?
Yes.
Well, Paul, how confident are you in this one?
I'm pretty confident in it because, and here's why actually.
Okay.
It's because I feel like whatever the reason is for Stardust and My Body is going to be like the same, and so that's why I just eliminated them both. And I know Anunku's just not it. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about Solemn Strike now.
Fair enough. Well, Paul, you are Correct. The only card you can activate here is the Psalm Strike. None of the other cards on your field here are cards that you can legally activate in response to the Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon. Now, the reasoning here, and I'll give you the actual definition for this. The Anuku, as you said, you can only get a Spell Trap card with it. It specifies Spell Trap card or effect. This means Spell Trap card or Spell Trap effect. The Stardust Dragon and the My Body as a Shield were a little bit more unique in this regard. I assume you know the interaction with Jade and the Psychic End Punisher.
I've heard about it. Refresh me, though.
Yeah, so the Psychic End Punisher is a monster that's unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. Now, the thing is, because Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon's effect, activates and resolves when it leaves the field, but only applies in the end phase, it's able to out a Psychic End Punisher because it's no longer considered to be an activated effect, because it's an effect that is happening kind of on a delay, is kind of the way you gotta look at it.
Yeah, that was my thought process too. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm glad I was like on the right track there.
Yeah, no, you definitely got there. You just said it in different words, but I completely understood what you meant the entire time. And honestly, I'm really surprised that you got this one right, but I'm pleasantly surprised. I'll put it that way. I feel like a proud teacher being like, my student knows. Yes. All right, Paul. So you are currently 4 for 5, 1 mistake so far, and 3 questions to go. Are you ready to get into question number 6?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's run it with question
On a roll.
number 6. On a roll, you're killing it. Here, your opponent controls a face-up DD Crow and a face-down Crackdown. You have Fallen of Albaz in your hand and Bean Soldier. Here, you normal summon the Fallen of Albaz and you activate the effect, discarding the Bean Soldier in order to attempt to fusion summon using your Fallen of Albaz and your opponent's DD Crow. At this point, your opponent will chain their Crackdown to take control of your Fallen of Albaz. How does this chain resolve?
Oh boy. Okay. All right. So, so here's my thought process, because like I feel like an obvious thing that like somebody might think about, and then there's like a less obvious thing, and I'm not sure if they're like both totally relevant here. With Fallen of Albaz, I know it has to, it can use monsters from either field. So seemingly that makes me think, okay, like fine, that should work. But then the fact that it says you cannot use other monsters you control gives me pause, because it's like, if it's on my opponent's field and they control Fallen of Albaz and they control DD Crow, would it just like not be able to work? But then it's like, well, okay, but they're not the one doing the fusion summon. They didn't activate the effect, and they're not, resolving it. It's just resolving on their side of the field. Which that gets into the really murky territory of like...
That is the question, is it not?
That whole thing. I'm trying to think of like what I would even be asking if I do a lifeline here.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Do you trust your Twitch chat?
If I speak...
Okay. I'm trying to think of what would I ask you?
Ooh, you want to ask me?
Like,
you trust me more than my Twitch chat?
Yeah. Like I feel like I can like think about this, but I don't really. I'm going to assume that like Fall of Albaz can it can resolve and it can fusion summon the I mean, because I'm not confident on this answer. I'm not, but I'm gonna assume it works.
So your final answer, the Fallen of Albaz is able to fusion summon?
Wait, is it? Yes.
Yes.
Wait. Let me read one more time. Yeah. I'm going with yeah.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Twitch chat is spamming no all caps because they think you're wrong. However, you can flip off the chat as much as you want because you are 100% correct here. The Fallen of Albaz will go to the opponent's side of the field, and then it will perform a fusion summon using the Albaz and the DD Crow in order to make something like the Lubellion here. So yes, the Fallen of Albaz is allowed to still resolve and fusion summon, and the reason why is because Albaz still remains this card, even though it changed control from one player to the other side of the field, because it's still on the field, so it's still treated as this card, because going from one side of the field to the other doesn't treat it as, having changed location to change what the card is. You're still on the field, so it is still this card. So here you are absolutely correct. You're currently 5 for 6. Still 1 mistake and 2 questions left to go. So are you ready?
I know you're about to come here with something crazy next. Okay.
Maybe, possibly. Right. You never know. You never know. Are you ready to get into question number 7, Paul?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Question number 7. So here, your opponent controls a Despian Proskenion. We will assume for the purposes of this that it was special summoned from the extra deck. Here you have a Masquerade, the Blazing Dragon in your graveyard, a Bean Soldier, a Despian Comedy, a Poly, and an Albaz in your hand. So here, you're going to use the effect of the Masquerade in your graveyard in order to special summon itself because your opponent controls a monster that was summoned from the extra deck. So you can special summon it, but it's banished if it leaves the field. At this point, you activate Poly, and you will fuse your Fallen of Albaz and your Despian Comedy into a Lubellion. At this point, you will activate the effect of Lubellion, discarding your Bean Soldier in order to attempt to perform a fusion summon. In this instance, are you allowed to fuse using the Masquerade the Blazing Dragon and the Fallen of Albaz that is in your graveyard to attempt to make a Mirror Jade the Ice Blade Dragon? Run me through your thought process here.
My initial my gut reaction is just no. Like, I mean, yes, that you can like activate Lubellion, but know that like you can't use Masquerade because it can't like meet that requirement.
You're saying it can't go to the proper location, so you wouldn't.
Yeah, like it can't, and like you know that it can't. So it's not like it's something that like, oh, randomly in the middle of chain it happened, but the activation was still legal. I don't think that it's like there's much more to say about it than that. It really, like, this doesn't come down to like anything that feels like overly complicated. Like, I know it's like it's a very binary, like, either you can or you can't do it with monsters like this.
Fair enough.
It just kind of comes down to like, do I trust that I'm even right about this, or like
Coder wouldn't throw you a curveball. There's no way.
I'm gonna say yes.
You're saying you can use it?
I'm gonna say yes, you can use it.
All right, and is that your final answer?
That is my final answer.
All right, Paul. Well, you are once again correct. The Masquerade will get banished.
Yeah.
The Fall of Albaz will go to the deck, and you will still successfully fusion summon your Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon. Now, the reason why here, and this is a ruling that's actually going to be extremely relevant in the coming format, because there is, I believe, a Tier Elements monster, I believe it's Rhinoheart, that like banishes itself if it leaves the field. You can still use that Rhinoheart to fusion summon, despite the fact that, you know, it's on the field and would be banished if it leaves the field. So this is a ruling that's going to come up a lot for the upcoming format, and for that reason, I thought it was very interesting. Me and N-Man, who made the quiz with me, thought it would be very interesting to add this ruling into this quiz, and you are absolutely 100% correct. You are on 6 out of 7, so even if you mess this one up, you're still on 6 out of 8. Therefore, the chat will earn their channel points, those that believed in you. Now you are fighting in order to close it out with a solid 7 out of 8 score. Are you ready to get into the final question of the quiz?
Ready, let's go.
All right, let's run it with question number 8. You control a Dinomorphia Stealth Bergia. Your face-down card is a Solemn Strike. Your opponent controls a face-down Masquerade the Blazing Dragon and have an Aluber the Jester of Despia in their hand. In this situation, this Masquerade was previously fusion summoned. We assume it was flipped face down by Book of Moon, and here they flip summon their Masquerade here. Keep in mind, you have only 1,600 life points in this scenario. So here your opponent flip summons their Masquerade. Afterwards, they normal summon the Aluber Jester of Despia and attempt to activate the effect. At this point, are you allowed to activate your face-down Solemn Strike? And if so, how does it resolve?
Man, you threw a double whammy on this one. See that?
I mean, I have to close it out. I have to close it out with a good question somehow, don't I?
All right, I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna call my lifeline.
You are going to call the judge. We are using a lifeline of the judge here. All right, Paul, what would you like to ask me? The head judge arrives. How can I assist you, duelist?
Okay. So, in this situation, I can't remember how I wanted to ask this again. If Masquerade has been flipped face down by Book of Moon, it was properly, it was fusion summoned, but it's been flipped face down and is now flipped face up. does the game state still remember it as this fusion summoned card?
When a monster that's summoned from the extra deck, like properly summoned, in the case of this, it got fusion summoned, if it gets flipped face down and then flipped back up, it remembers how it was how it was summoned, but it does not remember where it was summoned from. So it'll remember that it is fusion summoned, but it won't remember that it was fusion summoned from the extra deck.
All right, so it's still a fusion summoned monster. So
I will give you that.
Okay. I think I have my answer.
Okay, I am listening.
You have to pay 600 to activate the card, but you can use Solemn Strike. You pay 600. You do not have to pay 1500.
Okay.
So your life points end up at 1000.
Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer.
All right, Paul. My dude, congratulations, bro. A solid 7 out of 8 score. You are absolutely right. You pay 6 in order to attempt to flip up the card, which you do. You will need to pay the 6 for the Masquerade because Stealth Bergia specifically, what this card essentially says is you do not pay life point costs for your trap cards, which in this case, the life point paying cost is for Solemn Strike, but Masquerade does not add on to that cost of Solemn Strike. It simply says that in order for your opponent to attempt to activate a card, they need to pay 600. So in this case, you will still pay 600 for the Masquerade, and then you can flip the Solemn Strike, you will negate and destroy the Aluber, and you will not pay the life point cost of Solemn Strike because of your Dynamorphia Stealth Bergia, but Strike is still a completely legal activation. Paul with the score of 7 out of 8 with branded Despia only missing one question near the beginning. Damn, my dude, one hell of a run.
I was so scared because I really thought that when I was thinking oh, is it 2100 or whatever? Does it combine with the trap cards cost? But then I was like, wait, that starts to sound too far-fetched. And I also I think because I've encountered this before. So I was pretty sure it's okay, I know Masquerade just makes you pay 6 to attempt to even flip the thing over. Okay, all right, cool.
Fair enough. So you were so nervous, and then you came in here and you're just like, okay, Coder, let me absolutely crush your test, and then walk away. Says nothing, leaves, my dude.
But I learned so much. It's I feel like I got 7 out of 8, but I feel like I got more 5 out of 8 because half the things I answered them right, but I learned. I was like, oh, okay, that's why.
The explanation why and everything like that. I mean, you have been playing the game for a long time, and I would assume that you've encountered some of these interactions before, just very rarely, and it's like, okay, but why did it work that way? I know it does work that way because of this or because of that and whatever, but why does it work that way? And now you know, and you were still able to figure them out, and I think it's really good, dude. 7 out of 8, very, very insane score, to be honest. So anyways, guys, that was it for this Yugituber ruling quiz. Paul absolutely crushed it with a 7 out of 8 score. Congratulations, Paul. Absolute legend. You did really well. Honestly, big congrats to you. You absolutely crushed it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad I did well, but I also feel like I learned a lot too.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Twitch chat and on YouTube, let me know in the comment section below who you would like to see on the show and with what deck. I would love to have some newer faces and maybe bring back some older faces. That being said, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good one, guys. Peace!